afternoon,
Yeah, true.
and thanks for coming. My name is Isaiah, and today we'll be talking on flooding. Please have your seat.
Okay.
As you all know, during flooding, lives are lost. There is economic stagnation. There is environmental degradation. But before we continue, I would like us to understand first of all the causes of flooding. One, there's climate change. Two, overpopulation changes. And three, we have human activities such as deforestation and also the rise of the sea level. So as we continue, I would like us to first of all understand the definition of flooding. Flooding is referred to as a situation whereby a normally dry area is being submerged into water. This is catastrophic in case it occurs in sub areas or in suburbs or in cities, like in the case of here in Texas. So now the impacts of flooding. As you can see from the picture here, these are houses that are being submerged into water, and people tend to become homeless because they cannot live in this kind of area. Then the impacts of flooding, we have the long-term and the short-term impacts of flooding here in Texas. The short-term impacts will include the following: we have drowning, we have injuries, illness, animal bites. Also, we have long-term effects, which will include trauma and the spread of diseases. When we talk about the spread of diseases, is in the case where areas that are subjected to diseases are being exposed by water, so it affects human being directly. So now these are some of the images that we could find here in Texas, especially during the Hurricane Harvey. You see buildings are completely submerged into water and people were rendered homeless. Also here you have a picture of what happened in the sixth flood of Dallas here in Texas, where social activities came to a halt because people could not go there and have fun. So here there is property damages. You can see there were lots of accidents on the road. Houses were being completely destroyed, and those houses were being submerged into water, rendering people homeless, and some lives were also lost. So now we look at the effect on the economy. The economy came to a standstill at that time. Also, people had inaccessibility to go to work because they could not have easy access to the roads. They could not go to work, and the economic situation dropped in Texas. Then the deviation of resources. Instead of the government sending more resources into reliable sources, they were being diverted to take care of flooding. For example, when the Hurricane Harvey came up, they had to construct bayous and trenches for the water to dry out from the land. Then in conclusion, you will find that the issue of flooding cannot be avoided because it's a natural disaster. It's not man-made. So, however, it does not mean we find our arms and we sit fold our arms and watch what is going on. So we can take actions not necessarily to stop flooding, but to save lives and property. So if you can look from the last picture we have here, cattle were being transported from areas that had flooding into dry areas. So the cattle rearers could not lose their cattle. So at this point, I would like us to ask some questions so we can have a good clarity of this topic.
Okay, concerning Harvey, do you know what the government is doing to help those who suffered injuries or lost their jobs or houses? Do you know what the government is doing to help them?
Oh, thank you very much. First, the government was trying to provide shelter for those who were being affected, so they were transported into a particular area. They had certain dormitories where they lived for some time until they had a constructed site where they could move. And then secondly, if they were being fed through the food stamp situation that came up at that particular time, that people went and then collected food stamp to support themselves while waiting for the government to act on what they lost for that period of time. Any other question? If there's no question, then we thank you very much, and that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you.